An inspection fail I see in the field is when contractors install ledger bolts 16 on center because it's an installation they're used to doing. The governing section in the IRC is section 507.9.1.3, and that section does not give you one standard spacing. There's no default spacing like 16 on center or 24 on center, and if that's what you're using without checking the table, you're only guessing. Spacing has to come from the table in the IRC, section R507.9.1.3. And that's the table where you'll find the spacing requirements, and that changes based on the structural conditions. On the slide I have up here, you'll see that the spacing depends on your joist span, fastener types, load conditions, and even sheathing conditions. In this code table excerpt I have up, you can see that the joist span of 6 foot as opposed to 18 foot, there's quite a bit of a difference depending on if you're using a half-inch lag, half-inch bolt, and the sheathing conditions that might apply. If as an inspector you walk up and you see the spacing isn't uniform or it doesn't seem to have a relation to the table in the IRC, that's probably going to be a fail. On the flip side, if you can see that the staggered spacing is according to the table and it meets the approved plans, then you're obviously going to get a pass on that inspection. The IRC requires a staggered pattern as shown in the tables and in the diagrams. Typically, if you're using the prescriptive requirements, if we show up on an inspection and we see the bolts stacked or in a straight line across the ledger board, that's going to be a fail. The prescriptive requirements are based on the ledger board being attached to the band joist. If it isn't attached to a band joist, then the prescriptive requirements found in the IRC do not apply. All these requirements come from IRC 507.9.1.3 and the other associated code requirements that you'll find in the tables and in the diagrams. If you want a full, more detailed breakdown on ledger bolt spacing, you can go to my site, buildingcodegeek.com, where I break everything down in more detail. Also, if you want a field-ready guide for AFCI and GFCI requirements in kitchens, I'll leave a link for that post on my website and also this guide in the pinned comments and also in the description.